How's it? It's been a while, lead listeners. Well, in a preview for the November municipal polls, the people of Beverly Hills in Evaton in the Vaal municipal district of Emfuleni are now voting for a new ward councillor. This outcome, though, might not change that much, argues roving journalist Ntwagaae Seleka, because the service delivery crisis throughout Emfuleni has only really worsened in recent months. Rubbish piles are only getting higher, sewage flooding is only getting deeper, and residents are only getting more fed up.
There's no such a thing called service delivery. This municipality has literally collapsed. People are only going there to earn a living. Finish and clear. They only get there to get paid, then they are done. A municipality that has its own bank account attached by rainwater. First, it was attached by private companies. Secondly, by Eskom. Now it's rainwater. Rainwater is attaching their bank account, I think for the third time, if I'm not mistaken now. You can't call this institution a municipality.
Later, Joburg and Cape Town's budget rates increases are now in the spotlight, and Madiba arrived on Robben Island for the very first time in On This Day in South African History. That's our regular segment. In Roby's Pointless Bright Quiz, can you crack today's question? Which e-hailing company has been forced to remove digital billboards from the top of its taxis? I'll give you that answer a little later. My name's Graeme Robben. This is The Lead, and this is The South African Story. Moving to our top story today, and he's constantly on the move as one of News 24's intrepid Gauteng journalists. He doesn't stand for nonsense and all of that usual political PR talk. He's Ntwagaae Seleka, and it's a huge pleasure to have him back on the show. How are you doing, Baba?
I'm well, and you. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the readers and the listeners of News 24.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear you in good spirits. Let's catch our listeners up first, if we can, on Emfuleni. I mean, for those people who don't know, Ntwagaae, this is the local municipality covering a huge Vaal region of Gauteng. It's been underperforming, as we know it, for several years now, and as a consequence of that, I mean, it's become a litter free for all. There's rubbish dumps overflowing, rubbish mountains, rubbish heaps all over the streets. And service delivery is a shade of its former self. I mean, I'm putting it lightly, right?
Thanks very much for inviting me again, Graeme. You know, I'm going to be blatant and honest with you. A thing called service delivery in Emfuleni is non-existent. It remains a dream. To many, in particular kids who were born, 10 years ago, they are yet to witness what is service delivery in Emfuleni. There's no such a thing called service delivery. This municipality has literally collapsed. People are only going there to earn a living. Finish and clear. They only get there to get paid, then they are done. A municipality that has its own bank account attached by rainwater. First, it was attached by private companies. Secondly, by Eskom. Now it's rainwater. Rainwater is attaching their bank account, I think for the third time, if I'm not mistaken now. You can't call this institution a municipality.
And yeah, I think that mirrors our discussion last time. If you recall, a couple of weeks back, you sort of said the same thing. I mean, we're not holding back this time. The proof is in the pudding in our News 24 coverage. I mean, Ntwagaae, your reporting has been top tier in the last couple of months or so. Now the latest is that the Democratic Alliance in Emfuleni has exposed that 112 million bucks was set aside to help clear these mountains of rubbish. But, I mean, there's nothing to show for it.
Before I respond to this question, I know that the municipality spokesperson, Makosonke Sangweni, has accused me of campaigning for the Democratic Alliance because most of our stories or our questions that we get or are people who lead us into these stories because of the questions that are raised by the Democratic Alliance in the legislature. Therefore, because they are in the public domain, they're easily accessible to anyone. You can go there, get those questions and answers, then go to the ground and find the story. The fact that the provincial government acknowledges by responding to the Democratic Alliance and the same municipality that at a certain township or suburb, they've got a problem 1, 2, 3, 4, and then how much millions were spent to fix that problem, yet there's nothing to show. Those are the things that are easily accessible to anyone.
Yeah.
However, we are being accused. I mean, back to your question is that 112 million rand was spent. Let me use the word allegedly, because the municipality claims that Some of the money went for companies that were employed to collect refuse.
Outsourcing.
Some went, outsourcing resources. Yet they have a team that's responsible for refuse collection. Then some funds also went for hiring of vehicles. Yet they have vehicles in their own yard. You know, it's shocking because if you go drive around any township, almost every street corner, it's a legal dumping site. Many will tell you that the last time they saw a municipal truck collecting waste was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Others will say it was in 2024, a week before the elections. Ever since, there's no one who has seen a truck here. Trucks are there in the municipal yard, standing idle, but millions have been spent. 112 is a lot of money, but nothing to prove.
Yeah, it's a hell of a lot of money. And as an aside, Ntwagaae, I mean, the DA is the official opposition in Emfuleni, is it not?
Yeah, yes, they are. They are the official opposition. And apart from that, I think according to what I've established is that they've become the most vocal political party in this municipal. I'm not saying others are not doing anything, but I'm saying people that I've interacted with mostly is the Democratic Alliance, and we can't shy away from it. And from the legislature up to the municipality, in particular King Sol Chabalala, they're very vocal on Emfuleni.
Okay, but it's not as if Gauteng's Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Department, as currently led by, he's been in many departments, MEC Jacob Mamabolo. He's been all up and down the the departments in the Gauteng legislatures. But I mean, it's not as if Jacob's not been forthcoming. He said, look, we've intervened in the past. That intervention lapsed in trying to clear these rubbish heaps. But this, crisis continues. I mean, notwithstanding the fact that it is an election year, he's again, saying, everybody needs to band together to sort of, help Emfuleni back up on its feet again. I mean, are you buying this at the moment? It seems like, Groundhog Day. We've heard this before.
Honestly, I'm not buying it. I mean, I visit Emfuleni on a daily basis. I'm here to see a provincial vehicle doing work. I'm visiting Emfuleni, I'm visiting places that I've been to before, some of the stories that we have. I'm here to see a vehicle or employees from the provincial government. I can't say they're not doing anything, but I haven't seen them. And I don't think there is an intervention from the province, because if the province were to intervene, the only way that they can intervene, according to me, is to disband this municipality and start afresh.
Now, before we talk about today's municipal by-election, Ntwagaae, let's just quickly paint a picture for the average lead listener. I mean, we're talking about, townships without, good roads. There's litter free for all lying everywhere. There's swamped stoops. There is overflowing drains. Sewage systems have collapsed. The wildlife has taken over. I mean, these are conditions humans shouldn't be living in, right?
Indeed, and some of the things are very painful to see. And it's also said that you ask yourself that for how long should these people be subjected to this? I mean, if Emfuleni was led by a caring government, none of these things we should be discussing today, because I mean, there's a by-election today. Just opposite the by-election, there's a heap of rubbish. And a few minutes ago, there was a small wind that came and blew this rubbish into the voting station. Yeah. Now imagine what happens to those houses who are close to these illegal dumping sites on a daily basis. These people in the Vaal, they need someone, a messiah, to come and rescue them from this led coalition that is not helping them at all. And even if you were to, let's say this by-election, it's won by a different party, I don't see people bring any change. And the only solution that I still stick to it, for them to have a solution to their problems, is to start afresh and disband this whole thing.
Sure. Wow. Okay. I mean, that doesn't sound like there's any hope in your voice, Ntwagaae.
I'm talking from personal experience, from the things that I see every day. I mean, you look at how the municipality responds to questions. You'll expose something and then you expect that the municipality will go there tomorrow and try and remedy the situation. No, they're doing nothing. And another question that I always ask myself is that, unfortunately, we haven't done this too. Where is the South African Human Rights Commission? Where is the public protector? Why are they silent on this? Because since January, since last year, we've been reporting extensively about the hardships that the people of the Vaal have been subjected to. Where is the Human Rights Commission? Nowhere to be seen. Where is the public protector? Nowhere to be seen. Are they waiting for people to get sick from inhaling this bursting sewer storm drains? Then they can act. Are they waiting for a child to be swallowed by a stormwater train? Then they can act. Are they waiting for an accident that is caused by a pothole? Then they can act. Why are they so silent? That's a question I ask myself every day.
You know, from a completely outsider's perspective, and I mean, you know, I'm speaking to you from a Cape Town studio now, Ntwagaae. I mean, it feels as if the Vaal is like this forgotten sort of part of Gauteng, that it's just left there in jail, whilst, you know, a lot of, obviously, the media coverage has been centered around, for a lot of good reasons, around the city of Johannesburg and, of course, to a arguably lesser extent, the capital, Pretoria. But the Vaal, I mean, if it wasn't for News 24 and its consistent coverage, you going out to all these areas, seeing things for yourself, I would hazard an argument that, you know, it would have been some time still until, you know, Emfuleni would have come under the spotlight. I think you would agree, right?
Let me give you a practical example. You have two kids, and then one of these two, you love one. The other you don't love, and you chase the child away because you don't love the child.
Yeah.
There's a scenario, practical example that I'm painting for you. This is what the provincial government and national government is doing to Emfuleni. Because no one cares. We are here to see the provincial government intervening, calling these people to order publicly, give us reports into the media. We call them to order for 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the public protector comes and said, no, we want them to account for 1, 2, 3. Then let's say Human Rights Commission, no, we're going to open a case because some of these things are criminal offenses. Someone must come and open up cases, but people don't care. I don't think if you had to ask anyone in the provincial government or national government about Emfuleni, they don't know it. They know that the municipality exists, but they don't know where it is because no one cares about the Vaal. Because if they cared, we wouldn't be discussing what we're discussing today.
That's a very good point, Ntwagaae. Okay, let's have a look quickly for now at, you know, one of the possible avenues that we as South Africans have to try and elicit some sort of change for our current lived realities. There's a by-election underway in the Beverly Hills area. That's Ward 28 of Emfuleni today. Tell me, is Beverly Hills like that famed US suburb? Does it look the same?
No. Squalor. You know, a beautiful name gone to waste. If you were to visit Beverly Hills, let's say 10, 15 years ago, you wouldn't be saying what you're saying. This place used to be beautiful. People used to come and buy houses here, but come and see what's happening today. It has deteriorated. And I think the property price here has gone tremendously down because there's no service delivery. Those former beautiful houses, you can't see their beauty because instead of seeing a beautiful house, you see rubbish, you see potholes, you see sewer running on the street. I mean, there's nothing else to talk about Beverly Hills.
Sure.
A beautiful name gone to waste.
Yeah. What are the voters telling you on the ground in terms of like who they want to vote for? You know, is there an ANC fatigue? Is there this view that, you know, perhaps the DA could be lent a vote here just based on their, you know, more immediate track record, which is, you know, just across, you know, the neighborhood war, which is mid-Vaal. I mean, the DA's often been, you know, congratulated for the way that it runs mid-Vaal. What are the voters saying to you? Do they feel like, hey, we don't really want to cast our vote? I mean, that's something that has been a constant theme in the last couple of elections or so, is this general level of apathy. People don't really feel like their vote brings any change.
Yesterday, I interviewed 20 people. I did my own little SWOT analysis. I interviewed 20 people. And then only 3 publicly said they'll vote for the DA. Then some said they're not voting for the ANC yet, but they don't want to reveal who they're voting for. Then I think 3, if not mistaken, 3 said they're voting for the ANC. Then EFF, it was 3. And then 2 said no, they're not going to participate at all because they don't see a need of voting. But I don't blame those who are disgruntled. And when I look at what they told me yesterday, I said there's no need for them to vote. However, I also blame them on the other hand that they must come in and exercise their constitutional right of voting for whoever they think that will move the needle for them. But what I've experienced is that people are disgruntled here. They have lost hope in the African National Congress. And although I could hear which party they want to vote for, those who said they can't reveal, it is just that some people don't want to be blatant and say, I'll vote for this party.
Yeah.
Maybe they fear that because they gave us their real names and surnames. Maybe people from a certain party will see who they are, then they go and victimize them. I think that's why they avoided telling us who they want to vote for. But clearly from what they said, is that they love the ANC, but they want to move away from the ANC.
Why is it that the prior ANC ward councillor in this particular Ward 28 lost their spot yet? Do you know the exact story as to how this came to be?
Yeah, Cedric David said he was fired from the ANC in March this year after he had an argument with the leadership of the ANC in the region over service delivery. He claimed that he was fighting over certain residents who live in informal settlement, that they must also be prioritized to receive services. That's why he was fired. But now when I spoke to the ANC in the region, is that he was fired for misconduct. They didn't want to identify or reveal what misconduct was that. Then they said, no, he was fired for misconduct. That's why this ward is hanging, forcing all political parties to come and contest for it.
Interesting. Is it a critical seat? Will it change anything if it does change hands from the ANC to any other political party?
Well, you can say it's critical. It can change, but it can't, because remember, this is an ANC-led coalition. I mean, if you look at a Patriotic Alliance and also other parties, I mean, I forgot the name of other parties, are also in coalition with the ANC. Therefore, if it happens that this vote swings to a different direction, obviously those parties who are in coalition with the ANC now will add it into the coalition basket, and the ANC continue to lead them. But from what I can tell is that it is contested by 10 political parties.
It's quite a bit. Okay, we know now, according to the Independent Electoral Commission in Ntwagaae, that there are more than 508 to be exact, registered political parties this year in the elections. I mean, that's a hell of a lot. I mean, can you imagine how long that ballot paper is going to be on the 4th of November? We're going to be standing there for a long time unless you haven't made your mind up in that voting box. But anyway, Emfuleni is, what's this new party there on the block? I like looking at these smaller parties. You get a better idea about, what the alternatives people are thinking about, as opposed to, cater deployment and singing from the same old hymn sheet that we've heard, for the past more than 30 years. Tau Diarora. Who's this political party in Emfuleni? I thought let's just give them a moment to shine here a little bit.
This the Tau Diarora, it's a community group that was against crime, gangsterism in the area. And then they started crowdfunding. They're running it from their own pockets. Let me put it this way: that how this thing was started is that the Vaal had the problem of gangsterism, in particular in schools and in some other townships. Then residents grouped themselves and then called themselves Taudiaror. Then they started fighting against gangsterism, ensuring that there's no gangsterism in the area, which is something that has been abolished. It's very rare to find, not to say there isn't gangsterism, but it's very rare to find gangsterism in Emfuleni. Then upon seeing that there's no service delivery, which is true, then they registered themselves as a political party to contest the election. The upcoming local government elections. Then I think in March, I attended, it was on a weekend I was off, I attended one of their events, and I could see that they have numbers. Literally, they have numbers because it's people from various political parties, including Cedric David. Cedric David has moved from the ANC after being dismissed to join Taudiaror.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yes, and
okay.
But it's not contesting on behalf of Taudiaror. Taudiaror is represented by a different gentleman. However, it's one of the fastest growing parties that will shock many parties in particular in townships in Emfuleni.
Quickly before we end off, I thought we cannot have this conversation without having a closer look at Bopelong Extension 18. I mean, you penned the story about these locals sitting with ankle-deep waters. Pipes have not been looked at in the area. There's constantly sewage water, flowing into their stoops, into their front gardens. People have to deal with crabs and, rats and everything inside their
Frogs.
houses. I mean, that's disgusting. You said earlier,
And frogs.
and frogs, unbelievable. You said it earlier in our chat. Where is the Human Rights Commission here? I mean, how would we as Ntwagaae and Graeme wake up in the morning having to deal with the first thing that you put your feet into is water in your living room? It's disgusting.
You know what? This is one of the stories that they touch me in many different aspects. And I would say that if we didn't bring video evidence, people would have said News 24 is lying.
Sure.
Imagine Graeme going to a house. I remember this video vividly. Going to someone's house, the mother of two. She's working in knee-high flooded house. You ask yourself a question. Where's the Human Rights Commission? Just few houses away from that house resides their ward councillor. Instead of attending to their problem, the ward councillor said to us that she's not responsible to fix that best water pipe. I said to her, but at least municipality has officials responsible for that. And then she asked me, why did those people come to News 24 instead of opening holes in their houses to allow the water to flow? What kind of a councillor is that? Those are the questions that I ask myself every day when I think about that poor lady. Imagine waking up every morning and that house is electrified. Imagine if there's a little mistake, then an electrical cable then goes into that water. What will happen to two young children? Are we waiting for those kids to die first? Then we can fortunately use the word die. Are waiting for those kids to die first before they can intervene? And my question again is, where's the Human Rights Commission? It's nowhere to be seen. It's nowhere to be seen.
And then I wanted to just quickly get this from you. Any update on the probe into the mysterious murder of Emfuleni whistleblower Martha Rantsofu? That story seems to have gone quiet. Our lead listeners would have recalled from the 14th of April in Ntwagaae, we had that deep dive into that. That was the first time you and I had spoken in many years. And of course, this story again speaks to how Martha had blown the whistle on alleged fraudulent payments, missing municipal funds from within the municipality. Although she was a junior finance clerk, she had exposed how, hey, something wasn't lacking here in the books. It looks like bribes may have been paid here to wipe service providers' debt, just to get rid of their debt in the book so that they didn't have to give that back to the municipality. And then other things like overtime and all of that, which we've already pointed to in our reporting. Any update here from the Gauteng Political Killings Task Team as to arrests?
When I made an inquiry about 2 weeks ago, is that the PKTT is still on the ground working on this case. And then my sources were telling me that some officials, in particular senior officials from the municipality, were called for questioning. And then the work is still being done because from my sources are telling me that the PKTT, they don't want to leave anything behind. They don't want to rush in making arrests, although they have some leads. They just want to patiently follow those leads until they get the actual suspect behind the matter. However, allegations remain as they are that she uncovered corruption in the municipality, which led to her death. Unfortunately, may her soul rest in peace. However, it's a very sad thing. It's a very sad thing for a woman to be murdered, in particular for any human being to be murdered like that, for exposing corruption as a whistleblower. But I believe that it's just a matter of time. Something will come, because I spoke to her immediate family. I spoke to those who were close to her, that they do get updates from the PKTT. Every Sunday they get updates from the PKTT.
Wow.
And they have confidence that one day the case will be cracked.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time.
I mean, just to hear that they're getting updates every week, I mean, that's completely different from the usual SAPS experience that other families have found themselves in, that sort of experience. I mean, so it's quite hopeful to hear that. Is there any other hope on the horizon in the meantime, as this by-election goes ahead? People not feeling an awful lot of confidence in regards to the state of the area. Is there any good stories to tell?
Nothing. You know, yesterday when I spoke to one of the NC guys, was that for them, this by-election in particular, what we need, it's a litmus test for them. They just want to see how people will react to them in November. But, I mean, if a person tells you that, a member of the Regional Executive Committee tells you that, it means clearly these guys have thrown the towel, that they don't see themselves coming back in numbers. If they expect that this will be a litmus test for them, for something that I said to him, but you know why you are here. You are here because you failed to do what the Constitution requires you to do as the ANC-led government. But I don't see, if they were to win, I don't see them winning in a large margin. I see it as maybe winning by under 10%. I don't think they'll win in a large number as they usually do. But people on the ground are heartful. I'm sorry to use the word heartful. People are heartful.
Use that word. I love that word. It means so much.
Yeah, people are heartful. People want services. And it's not like people are hating the ANC. People don't hate the ANC. I remember the one lady said to me yesterday, we don't hate the ANC in Ntwagaae. We hate the people who are leading the African National Congress. In particular, people who should be changing our lives in Emfuleni. Yeah, they don't hate the organization. They hate people who should be changing their lives in Emfuleni.
And the people themselves, I understand that you're busy with a potentially a little bit more of a light-hearted story, a little bit of hope in that side of the world where people are, forced to do things on the grounds for themselves in order to make it a better life for those around them.
Yes, I'm working on something. I don't want to give much, but
keep that scoop.
It's about people who volunteer their services to do what the municipality is supposed to be doing constitutionally.
And we can expect that this week in Ntwagaae?
Yeah, before end of the week.
I can't wait to read it. I'm looking forward to reading it. It's always good to see the other side of the coin. I think just one last question. I mean, have you had any threats against you? I mean, it seems from my perspective, and tell me if I'm wrong, I mean, of course you get your local knock and drop newspapers and stuff in the region, but from a mainstream, I hate that word, but I mean, it describes it well, but, from a mainstream media perspective, are you sort of singled out at the moment? I'm sure all the political parties are aware of you at this point. They know that you're knocking on doors. Have you had any untoward negative behavior towards you as you continue your job here?
Nothing at all. I'll be lying except the remarks by the spokesperson Makosonke Sangweni. I never sent questions to him that we are pushing an agenda. This is culture journalism. We're working for the TA. These are the responses that I get every day from the municipal spokesperson. Apart from that, I haven't received any threat. I'll be lying. Sure. Nothing whatsoever.
Well, that's good to hear. Sometimes nice to just check in and just see how you're doing and all the rest. Stay safe as you continue to navigate through the litter-infested, rat-infested streets of Emfuleni. I hope that, this by-election could be an indicator of a potential changing tide as we move towards the November 4th polls. Perhaps I remain a hopeful, optimistic. Sometimes I try to not be a cynic in Ntwagaae, and it's difficult when we talk about stories like this. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks very much for having us, and let's hope that maybe one day there'll be change in Emfuleni.
Looking for a smarter weekend scroll? The Weekender is your ultimate guide to bold stories, sharp opinion, and a fresh lens on life in Mzansi. From exclusive interviews and powerful essays to wine picks, playlists, and pop culture gems, it's your perfect weekend read all in one place, landing every Saturday on News 24. Trending topic.
To our trending topic, it is mind-boggling to think that the city of Johannesburg has since decided now to hike residents' tariffs. The Metro's Finance MMC Loyiso Masuku brought a mammoth new budget of more than 97 billion rand to council this week. It's over 7 billion rand more than last year's budget. And keep in mind, this follows the finance minister's naughty letter to Mayor Dara Marrero, warning that the metro's debt of 25 billion almost completely overshadowed its revenue, with cash in hand just shy of 4 billion. The catch here, of course, is that locals will now bear the brunt of this latest increased budget. Water is projected to be 12.5% more expensive, electricity more than 8%, and refuse removal more than 6%. Yet, revenue collection, that's actually getting the money from ratepayers, lies at the core of Joburg's problem all along, with Treasury citing the Metro's prior targets as simply unrealistic. Meanwhile, down in the mother city, Cape Town Council is overhauling how it handles tariff increases in future after the Western Cape High Court wrapped it over the knuckles for sections of its quote-unquote unlawful fixed rates structure. Ultimately, what the ruling says is that the Metro may no longer use the value of one's property to determine how much one pays for water, sanitation, and citywide cleaning services, and it's now reverting to one's meter size instead. The Metro says the ruling actually hurts its efforts to find money from other areas to protect poorer households, and it's been scrambling now to amend a new budget before July. Instead of cutting its infrastructure spend, the city is now proposing that it will shift around costs related to water, power, and property rates. You and I can currently comment on these amendments from today until the 10th of June. That's on the city's Have Your Say section on the official website.
And finally,
2 on this day in South African history, courtesy the SA History Online database. Madiba stepped foot on Robben Island for the very first time on this day, the 27th of May, 1963. That was 63 years ago. In August the year before, the late icon was stopped in a roadblock in the KwaZulu-Natal Midlands after local apartheid security authorities were allegedly tipped off by a CIA agent. By November of that year, Mandela was sentenced to 5 years behind bars for apparent incitement for workers to strike and illegally trying to leave the country without a valid passport. Initially behind bars in the capital Pretoria, Madiba met then his old fellow political activist and rival Robert Sobukwe, the breakaway leader of the Pan-Africanist Congress. Madiba was there for 7 months before he was then ferried against his will to the notorious island. By October of 1963, Madiba faced sabotage charges in the historic Rivonia trial, with him and 9 other anti-apartheid leaders in the dock. By June of 1964, Mandela faced the extreme uncertainty of life behind bars on Robben Island. In Roby's Pointless Fry Quiz, we asked at the beginning of the show which e-hailing company has been forced to remove digital billboards from the top of its taxis. I actually saw one on the N1 highway the other day, and I actually craned my head to see this thing. And it definitely took my eyes off the front of the road. And I just haven't seen something like that in Cape Town. The answer is Bolt. It's since emerged the National Road Traffic Act actually says that this is a big no-no. You can't have these electronic billboards on the top of your vehicle because it can distract other motorists. I mean, I was certainly distracted. Interestingly, as News 24's William Brederode, who brought us the story, points out, why then was one Bolt car spotted with City of Cape Town tourism ads? The irony abounds. The city insists to William, though, it never paid a cent for this particular campaign. Super, super interesting there. Well, if you got that right, well done. That means you're a News 24 subscriber. I'll catch you on Saturday morning again for the latest edition of News 24's Unread. That brings you a under 10-minute snapshot of all the top stories from the week that was. I love our new show. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Until then, my name's Graeme Robben, and so long as there's trusted news first, we'll have the lead.